And we are live. Good to see you, folks. Fill your cups, grab a pen and paper. This is it. This is the last appeal. This is the last show before the election. America, you in danger, girl. Let's do this. Good morning, everybody. Before I launch into my final appeal here, something that we saw last night. If you haven't watched SNL last night, watch the opening with Kamala Harris. It is just fantastic. It was really, really great. I can't play any of the video. Last time I played video from SNL, SNL got pissy. Hit me with a copyright strike, and I had to go back and delete all the video from SNL. So we're not going to make that mistake again. But I do have a still image for you, which they can't do anything about, with Maya Rudolph, of course, who plays Kamala Harris on SNL, and Kamala Harris. That was a great opening. It really was. She did an amazing job. It will leave you feeling good. The rest of the show, turn it off. One of the worst SNL episodes I have ever seen. It was bad. I mean, they even managed to screw up Weekend Update, which is just, I don't know how you do that, but they did. It was bad. It was hosted by John Mulaney. And I don't know if they were reacting because they had Kamala Harris on and they wanted to try to do some stupid frickin' Fox Fair and Balanced thing, or if this is what actually John Mulaney thinks is funny, but it wasn't. It wasn't. One of the worst skits on there was with Tim Kaine, who participated in it. A lot of folks are just getting hit cold with that name. May not remember, Tim Kaine was Hillary Clinton's running mate. Disastrous choice. And he reaffirmed that last night because he did this skit with John Mulaney, which basically, follow me here. You're watching a cold opening with Kamala Harris. And I'm glad to see I'm not the only one that saw that, Jordan. I'm glad I wasn't. You're watching the opening with Kamala Harris. And that's what you're focused on. What she said, what she's thinking, that's where your mind is at. Right? Okay. So they go into this skit that it's basically making fun of you because they hit you cold with, oh, well, you said this, the 2016 election was the most important election ever. And if you don't vote, it's going to be incredibly dangerous, which, yeah, look at the Trump administration. What happened? What you're saying is stupid to begin with. Yeah, we lived through the Trump administration. We were right to be worried. But they're making fun of people saying, oh, well, look, you were worried then and nothing horrible happened. Yeah, there were frickin' refrigerator trucks filled with dead Americans in hospital parking lots because the morgues couldn't keep up. I mean, yeah, we kind of remember. Then it went even worse. They pulled, it's supposed to be John Mulaney as one of us, and they pulled up what was supposed to be one of his tweets. It was fictional. And it said, oh, you said how dangerous this was and how we needed to remember the names of the people that are suffering the violence of police brutality, and then the name's blurred out. And he goes, George Floyd, and you can't say George Floyd. Why? That was a huge one. Well, they said it because, yeah, you would immediately remember George Floyd, but with your mind not in it, with your mind just enjoying Kamala Harris, with you in a happy, good place, you might not remember Alton Sterling. Alton Sterling, who was selling CDs in front of a convenience store, and the police escalated it to the point where it ended up they were beating the shit out of the guy. So he started fighting back, and when he started fighting back, they shot him on the ground. Or you might not remember Eric Garner, who the New York Police Department were arresting for selling loose cigarettes in front of a convenience store. And they choked him to death on the sidewalk. And using what is an illegal choke maneuver. You might not have remembered Eric Garner. Or you might not have remembered Tamir Rice, who was a 12-year-old boy playing in a park with a toy gun. The police rolled up, and under 3 seconds, Tamir Rice was dead. He was playing in a park with a toy gun. Someone called the police and said, hey, there's somebody in a park with a gun. The police rolled up, got out of their car, and shot that 12-year-old dead immediately. Yeah, we remember their names. Trayvon Martin, who the right said this was perfectly legitimate. George Zimmerman, the guy that killed him, when Trayvon Martin was armed with tea and Skittles, shot him to death. We remember their names, and fuck off Saturday Night Live. It was one of the worst skits ever, but it really set me off, because this has been a theme on the right. Elon Musk has been one of the worst about this. They're saying, well, Trump was president before, and he didn't implement the Nazi regime then when he was president. So what are you saying? Why are you calling him a Nazi now? He could have done it before. No, he couldn't have. Remember Nancy Pelosi? Remember, he did not have everything in place to do it. That is what the 2025 project is all about, is facilitating that. Here you have Elon Musk spreading this propaganda to millions of people. It's insane. And as somebody who actually studies history, that actually enjoys history, I'm watching this stuff, and it's driving me up the frickin' wall, because this is real people. These are real people holding real signs from history. Hitler has not attacked us. Why attack Hitler? Lend, lease, lose lives. That's support of our European allies. Arm Britain and prolong the war. Where have we heard that? Ukraine. Why not peace with Hitler? How many people on the right have you heard say, you know what, Putin, he's not a bad guy? So yeah, this really, really got me upset as somebody who's actually followed history. Then I woke up. I had a totally different show planned, people. I did. And then I woke up and I saw this headline from the Washington Post. And I realized, look, if you're going to make an appeal to people, you need to explain really what the hell is going on, because the corporate media isn't going to do it. This is an article from the Washington Post. And it points out, they don't even name them in this article. You have to have known about this before. They don't even name the group here. Conservative groups watch list targets federal employees for firing. We've talked about that before in the 2025 project. You're like, Paul, why are you rehashing that? Folks, this is really how it's going to work. This is why this is our last chance to slam the brakes on an American police state. And I'm going to do what the corporate media here fails to do. This is the American Accountability Foundation. They're funded by the Heritage Foundation, same people that have brought you the 2025 project. They are looking, they're going to gut the Department of Homeland Security, and we're going to get into it. Why it's Homeland Security. They're looking at things like, have you ever donated to the Democratic Party? They're outright telling you, they respond to this article and outright tell you, these people in these jobs will not do what Trump wants to do because they oppose Trump. No, they don't oppose Trump. They have fealty to the law. And what these people, and it just blows my mind that the corporate media does not get into this. What they're telling you to your face is there are people in these jobs that it is their career. They understand the law. They have fealty to upholding the law. Trump's ideas are going to run counter to the law, and Republicans cannot get this done politically. They cannot come to you and say, we would like to create internment camps. Please vote for us. Instead, they said, oh, man, immigration, they're just destroying our country and this, that, and the other. But they run like hell if you say, well, wait a minute, you're talking about deporting 20 million people. Some of them haven't gotten the message. And we've played for you clips from, for instance, Homan, the guy that's going to run Customs and Border Patrol for Trump, has said, oh, how do you not break up families? You deport the whole family. He said that out of his own mouth. So we've talked about this before. I want to explain to you what is going on, why this election is so damn critically important. And SNL, screw you for trying to say that we're being hyperbolic. Yeah, the 2016 election, it was incredibly dangerous. We saw what happened. And we're seeing right-wingers now, they're making that argument, well, he didn't do it in his first term. Nancy Pelosi. One big reason why he couldn't. We Democrats held power. They didn't have everything that they want to control. And what they figured out is they don't need to win Congress. Somebody read a history book. Somebody read a history book over there. And this is what I'm going to show you, folks. I'm going to show you with receipts what they're doing and why they're going to get away with it if we reelect Trump. And yeah, it's not hyperbole. I brought receipts. Sharon Reddy, you know the tune. Sing along. Bye-bye, Mr. Name Call and Lie. Drove my hybrid to the polls. The old girls got in line. Met with granddaughters for croissants and wine. Oh, America's going to be fine. America's going to be fine. I do have some good news for you. Stick around for the end of the show. I do have some good news. Thanks for that. I appreciate that poem. I really do. I really do. Thank you, Sharon. That was good. DL, I'm going to explain to you why you shouldn't be anxious. I'm going to explain to you why you should be freaking terrified. I'm going to be honest with you, folks. You're going to have to wait to the end. I will make you feel better at the end, but this is real, okay? And when we get into it, there's a couple points that I want to set to get, to frame this. This is one hilarious picture here, but it's the truth. You know the old adage, if you want to boil a frog, you put him in the pot. If the pot's already boiling, he'll jump right out. So you just turn the heat up slowly, 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 and you can boil that frog. While this is untrue, an untrue notion, the fact is that when you try to do that, once it gets uncomfortable, the frog will jump out of the pot. That is false. But the notion, the idea of it, the principle that it's supposed to explain is absolutely true. And what I mean by that is look at what has happened to our country since Reagan. Look at the steps the Republican Party has taken, how they keep marching into fascism. You can see it happening. It doesn't happen all at once, but it keeps happening. And it wasn't overnight. That's one principle I want you to keep in mind. This is the other. Why are you going to drudge up the Nazis and history and all that other stuff? There are two statues. That stand in front of the National Archives on Pennsylvania Avenue. This is one of them. The other says, "Study the past." This one on the front of it, you see there, right here, says, "Past is prologue." Folks, there is no truer statement. There is no truer statement. And let me explain to you what I mean. Pause for a second. I want to explain why that is so incredibly true and what I mean by that. There is another point that you have to understand and to frame this by. You hear Republicans, just a couple talking points they use. One, we're not, you've heard them say this before. We're a republic, not a democracy, when we're talking about saving democracy. And I've shown you the clip before on the past. I don't have time to show it to you again. It's a really slick talking dude. He's talking about pure democracy, which doesn't exist anywhere in the world, versus a republic. These things are not mutually exclusive at all. How you republic's just a representative government, and how you elect those, how you select those representatives has been done differently in the past. Sometimes it was just landowners that were appointed. Sometimes it was just, we do it by democracy. Democracy and a republic are not mutually exclusive. But you take a really simple person that doesn't know a lot, and you will let them watch this really slick guy talk in a video, and all of a sudden they think that they're smart. They think that they have knowledge. They think that they, and that's how they really recruit the dumb ones. Another good one that they use is, did you know the Democrats founded the KKK? Did you know that was the Democrats? Well, yeah, I did, because I actually understand history. Who does the KKK vote for now? And that's the part that they, again, they go to a young man, not particularly worldly, not particularly savvy, and they lay this knowledge on them that they think is a gotcha. Oh, the Democrat founded the KKK. Well, you know what? The pieces move on the board historically, and this is an important point that you're going to need to keep in mind as we start talking about these things. The pieces move on the board. The party's flipped. We know that. Voting Rights Act, yada, yada, the history, the Dixiecrats bailed on the Democratic Party, moved to the Republican Party. The parties basically switched positions back in the 60s, 50s, and 60s. Nothing happens overnight, but it was the 50s and the 60s. This is an important principle. The pieces will move on the board historically, but the board never changes. Keep that in mind. The pieces may move, but the board itself, the positions that are staked out, never change. That board is always the same. And that you'll understand what I mean by that in just a second. All right. One more look at that headline, and we're going to dig into this. And no, this isn't going to be eye glazing over history. This isn't. This is going to, I promise you, this is going to be incredibly interesting because this is happening real time. Okay. Again, this group has, what they are doing is they have developed a list per the 2025 Project 2025, of people within the Department of Homeland Security that they deem unloyal enough to keep their jobs. They're saying these people will not implement Trump's policies. And they say they won't implement Trump's policies because they're them damn Democrats and they'll just oppose them because they're Democrats. I love you people so much. I do. We're getting there. They oppose. Now, I want you to, they're telling you this to your face. They are looking at the social media of DHS employees, and if they don't deem them loyal enough, they're going to fire them immediately. Okay? I'm not telling you this. They're telling you this. They're not hiding this, folks. They aren't. E.T., when you don't teach people the basics of history, science, and life in general, they are subject to taking falsehoods that they have a hint of truth. Vote. Yes, the best lies have a kernel of truth, and I tell you this all the time. Okay, so this is what's going on, all right? This last principle here, this is a true quote from Dr. Martin Luther King, and this is true. This is a true statement. Never forget, everything Hitler did in Germany was legal. It was completely legal in the state of Germany. The Nuremberg trials and all of that was not German law. That was world court. But everything he did was legal. So let's dig into it. Let's dig into it. First, I want to show you a flag. This is one of the most sought after flags anywhere. There are two factions, two groups of people that look for this flag, an original like this flag. A real one of these flags is incredibly rare. Historians really try to get their hands on these flags because they were, no, it's not the Schutzstaffel, it's not the SS, it's not. Good guess though. Good guess there, Carol. These flags were destroyed wholesale after the war ended. This flag is the flag of the Geheime. Forgive me. I'm sorry. I've got a catch in my throat. Forgive me. Sorry. The Geheime Staatspolizei, or as you know them by their abbreviated name, the Gestapo. This was their flag. The Germans were very big in World War II, were very big on flags. We have seals that we put on everything. They had flags for everybody. This is the Gestapo flag. And again, highly sought after, highly, by historians. But then on the other side, you've got white supremacists that know the significance of this flag and who these people were, and they adore this flag. I mean, I would bet you Harlan Crow has one in his collection. If I had to be a betting man, I would bet that Harlan Crow has one of these flags. They're incredibly rare. They were destroyed wholesale after World War II. The Gestapo was created by this guy. This is Hermann Goering. And again, stick with me. I know we're going to talk about a little bit of history here. Don't let your eyes glaze over. This is pertinent to today, and I'm going to get there really quick. This is Hermann Goering. Not a bad-looking guy. He really is. It really wasn't a bad-looking guy. He created the Gestapo. He didn't run it. That was that was another guy. I'll get to him in just a second. Who is Hermann Goering? Hermann Goering was a military man. He was an ace in World War I. He was a good-looking guy, very popular with the public. So when the National Socialists, and this is where the chessboard comes into play, I'll explain that in a minute. When the National Socialists took power, they needed to create this apparatus to control everything because they really couldn't control everything via the legislature. They just couldn't. They knew it. And the Republicans know it today. So they put Hermann Goering to work. And Hermann Goering created the Gestapo. His defense of himself in the Nuremberg trials is, well, when I created the Geheime Staatspolizei, it wasn't a bad thing. It wasn't a bad thing. It was looking for something necessary. It was dealing with something necessary. I didn't create this monster. I wasn't in charge of it when they did all these horrible things. I created it for a good thing. And let me tell you something, folks. The white supremacists, they hammer this home. You know those little bits of nuggets I'm telling you that they take and they reach under the chin of somebody, young white guy with a beef, this special knowledge that they endow unto them. That's one of the things they really push hard. Oh, well, we killed Hermann Goering and he didn't do anything. They killed him for doing exactly what we did. Because technically when they put him to death, they put him to death for bombing civilians in Rotterdam and, yada, yada, et cetera. Well, we bombed Dresden into the ground. We turned it into rubble. So I don't agree with this. This is what I'm telling the white supremacists sell to young white men is, well, they killed Hermann Goering, but for doing the same thing we did. Look at what we did in Germany. Look at what we did in Dresden. Look at what we did. They always bring up Dresden. But what they fail to tell you is the buck stops with you. When you create the apparatus, you're responsible for it. But the guy that actually ran the Gestapo was this guy, Heinrich Himmler. And he was an evil, horrible. You have to go back. I'm not going to rehash all of that. Like I said, this isn't a history class. We're just going to talk about what's pertinent. But yeah, Heinrich Himmler ran the Gestapo and the Schutzstaffel, the SS. The SS was not brought up in the military. It came out of the Nazi Party. Now, what I want to talk to you about, again, I want to knock down these right-wing arguments because I can hear them already. They were socialists and you lefties are socialists. That's you. You can't put that on us. Remember the chessboard, folks. Remember the chessboard. Hitler was no socialist. He wasn't. The parallels are just gobsmacking between Hitler and Trump are just gobsmacking. Hitler was no socialist. He wasn't. He just was able to politically maneuver himself into a party that was moldable. Let me give you an example. The communists and the socialists, what did they push during that era? In the 1900s, what did they always push? It was atheism. They were very much no church whatsoever. But they weren't left-wing. That's not a left-wing notion. We liberals believe what you want to believe. Just don't make me believe it. That's what liberals believe. Like when Stalin in the Soviet Union outlawed religion. That wasn't a lefty idea. That's a righty conservative idea. And it's important that you follow that and understand that whole notion. The chessboard never changes. The pieces may change, but the chessboard never changes. The utilization of atheism is the same thing that the right does with Christianity today. It's the same mantra. Believe like we tell you to believe, or you're flawed, you're broken, you're wrong. And everything I do is justified in my belief. The socialists used atheism that way, the same exact way that the right wing uses Christianity today to make these things happen. And both of them were manipulating those beliefs. I am not judging atheism or Christianity when I say that. I'm talking about the political use of these things. So when they try to say that, and you're going to get these right wingers say, well, that, National Socialist, that's where Nazi comes from. That's you people. You're the commies. No. Those people were very ultra conservative. Again, the pieces moved on the board stayed the same. They used these things the same way. So what did they do with it? What did they do with it? And again, this is where this ideology comes from. Y'all remember this? This was a story that just popped up from John Kelly talking about Donald Trump and why he's dangerous. You remember he just said this? Trump said Hitler did some good things and wanted generals like Nazis, former Chief of Staff Kelly says. Remember that? Well, that's where this whole idea on the right comes from. They actually think that way. Going back to Goering and what he did, that was all based in good. Now, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, no. And I agree with you. No. But this is how it happened. This is how it happened. And this is the freaking terrifying part. If you actually study history, and I'm not just talking about the platitudes, I'm not just talking about the sayings, I've actually watched the machinations of it. Everything Goering did for Germany, we've already done here. The mechanisms are in place. Let me explain to you what I mean by that and why this is so freaking terrifying. Political Musings with Amy Manuel. My sister Missy said that very thing about Hitler being socialist. I asked if she believed that BS or if she just kind of thinks that that you will. Yeah, it's very common. They take very simple people that have no knowledge. They tell them these magic bits of nuggets and tell them they're really smart for knowing it. Really common. That's been used throughout history to recruit. That's how they do it. Let's jump in the Wayback Machine and let me explain why we are in so much, why this election is so critically important. And here's the pitch, okay? Y'all remember September 11th. I remember where I was when it happened. I remember I was sitting in a training center. I know exactly where it was. What we found out after September 11th was that it could have been stopped. It could have been prevented. And what we needed to do, let me stop for a second. Why it could be prevented, why it could have been prevented. The information was there. The dots were never put together. And the reason the dots weren't put together is this country has tons and tons of law enforcement agencies. And the way it used to work was each one of those agencies had a director that they reported to. And information was power. Information was value. Information, I appreciate you, JD. Information, they controlled it. And all of the other, you had the FBI centrally, and then all of these other law enforcement agencies that really hated the FBI because the FBI controlled power. They held it with a death grip. And none of these agencies were working and playing well together. And we said, aha, I know how to fix that. We will create an umbrella and put it over all of these law enforcement agencies. Put them all in the same sandbox. And that way they have to play together. And a lot of people heard that and they're like, what a great idea. What a great idea. We'll put them all under control of one person, and then they've got to cooperate with each other, right? Everybody that read a history book went, no, you can't. You can't do that. Exactly, Pamela. Exactly, Pamela. DHS. We created the Department of Homeland Security. And the people that argued against moving, they wanted everything. They wanted the Department of Justice. They wanted the FBI, everybody under the Department of Homeland Security. And the people that said, no, we're not doing that. We're branded as weak on terrorism. They were branded as against the country. They were branded as being for terrorism. They were attacked, but they held their ground and they suffered the political losses because of it. But because they fought it out, the DOJ and FBI did not end up under the Department of Homeland Security. And that is huge to today. It is. Because let me explain what this group is trying to do. It's not that they're just trying to gut it to put loyalists into the Department of Homeland Security. This is what that means. This is DHS. This is DHS. I'm just going to run through this list real quick. We're going to go back and we're going to talk about parts of it. Okay. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. Papers, please. Papers, please. They've already created Real ID. We all have our papers now. They just tagged it to your license. They took each state and said your driver's license must be tied into the Real ID system. You know, you folks, you're my age, you know, you grew up, you understood the significance of those words. Papers, please. Well, we're there. We've done it. When I tell you that everything Goering created for Hitler already exists today in this country, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. We already have the papers, please state. Then you have the United States Coast Guard, which is one of the branches of our military that is under control of DHS. Now, I want you to think about that when you start thinking about Trump loyalists. This is their end to the Department of Defense. This is their end to the Department of Defense. And I'll explain to you why this isn't all, but it is. United States Customs and Border Protection. Again, papers, please. Then you've got Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Yeah. Don't just think about these under Trump's control. Think about these under Hitler's control, because this is exactly what the Gestapo had. They had control of the phone lines. They had control of all the intelligence of all the technology. They had control of everything, as does Department of Homeland Security already. And again, I'm making the point that everything Goering created already exists here. Federal Emergency Management Agency, they want to destroy that and get rid of it. They've already told you they're going to get rid of that. This is a huge one. Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, or FLETC. This is outside Jacksonville, Florida. It's actually in Georgia, Glenn County, Georgia, southern Georgia, near the Georgia-Florida line. I've actually been there. It is a world unto itself. Folks, this is a big one. That's a big one. That means every federal agent's training program will be controlled by Trump loyalists. And remember, what I'm telling you is they're not going to need the legislature. They're not. Hitler didn't use the legislature. He didn't. He used the federal apparatus to seize control. And this is one way they do it. Every agent that comes out in the future will follow Trump doctrine. They will be taught. Their curriculum will be the Trump doctrine. That's why one of the reasons they are so vehemently focusing on DHS. This entire group, the American Accountability Foundation, is focused almost completely on DHS for this reason. These reasons that I'm pointing out to you. United States Immigration and Customs, also part of ICE, is under, again, papers, please. Can you leave? Can you flee? Can you get out of the new American Iron Curtain? That's controlled by ICE. And that will be controlled by a Trump sycophant whose loyalty is to Trump, not the law. Remember, the law is what the government deems it to be. And they already have a Supreme Court who's shown absolutely they're more than willing to just bend whatever. There's no legal spine anymore. It's whatever they want. They all testified Roe v. Wade is legal precedent. It's the law. As soon as they got the chance, as soon as Dobbs came up, nope. Our right-wing windsock is blowing this direction, and that's what we're going to do. Here's where it gets icky. The United States Secret Service. The fact that it has SS in the name, yeah, this is where it gets really freaking ugly. This is an entire law enforcement apparatus that's dedicated to the protection of the President of the United States, who you have already seen. They did things like delete their text messages. Then they tried to claim, they literally with a straight face tried to claim, well, it's just procedure. We're getting new phones. We had to delete the old data. Really? Why did you only delete the 5th and the 6th? This is where your Schutzstaffel comes into play. You're talking about the United States Secret Service having loyalty to Trump, having loyalty to the president. When you talk about the SS officers, those weren't brought up in the military, folks. Those were the Secret Service put into the military. And again, this is what I'm talking about. You got Coast Guard and you got their way in. So when you're sitting there and people are making this argument, oh, good luck with trying to overthrow the government with our military won't stand up for that. History says you're wrong. History says you're wrong. Because remember, everything I'm telling you, other than the firing of the employees, which the courts will totally, you've seen there's an entire circuit court willing to do anything. They have no fealty to the law or the Constitution. They do what Republicans want. Other than the firing of the employees, all I'm telling you, completely legal. Completely legal. So no, the military will be gutted. Trump will get his generals that are loyal to him. He will. Let's continue on. You got Transportation Security Administration, the TSA. You want to travel? Papers, please. Remember, they're also linked to the intelligence apparatus. So if you're like me, and I'm out here talking bad about Trump, suddenly I can't travel. I can't move. I couldn't flee if I wanted to. It's all under their control. This is why they're going after DHS. This is what Hermann Goering created for Hitler. Then Hitler handed it over to Heinrich Himmler, and the rest is history. The camps, 9 million people disappearing off the face of the planet. The Management Directorate, that's the umbrella. Science and Technology Directorate, again, your phones, your internet, everything you've ever said, they've got it. They've got it all. You saw the news stories about what are these massive buildings that are being built? They're so huge and they're full of servers. What could they possibly be for? Everything. They store everything. You've heard me, you've heard it before. The internet is forever. People are like, just delete your period tracking apps. Why? They know when you bought your products. They don't need the app. They don't need the app. Ladies, do you buy feminine protection? They know. This is real, folks. This is real. This is why when you say, Paul, what are you going to do after the election? What are you going to do after the election? Don't worry, I ain't going anywhere. I'm destroying this shit. That's what I'm doing. This has gone too damn far. And again, it's like Goering's argument. I did nothing wrong. When I created it, it was for a good thing. Just like we did after 9/11. When we created this monstrosity, it was for a good thing. Here comes Trump. Here comes his white supremacist bigots that have read a history book that know they don't need the legislature. They don't. All they need is control of DHS. And they're telling you to your face that they're going to do it. That they're going to do it. Jeanette Dahl, we must remember the poet Martin Niemöller. Yeah, exactly. She's talking about the first they came for the trade unions. First they came for then they came for and then they finally came for me, and there was no one to stand for me. This is why I voted for Kamala Harris. I have seen this coming since 2016. Carissa from Detroit. Good to meet you, Carissa. Glad to see you here. Motor City. All right, let's I'm been going on, but I want to wrap you. And the ombudsman's office, which is useless, completely useless. Office of Health Security, right here. Office of Health Security. Ladies, you think that they're going to track you on a period tracking app? No. They've got the Office of Health Security and they also have the Office of Homeland Security Situational Awareness that facilitates the coordination between the Science and Technology Directorate, and go back up here to the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Did you buy your tampons with a credit card? Because if you bought them with a credit card, they know. They know. It's all data. It's all there. All you need is somebody nefarious enough to want to use it. And they're telling you to your face, they're telling you, we want mass deportations. When asked, what's that going to look like? What's that going to look? How are you going to not break up families? Really simple. We're going to deport the whole family. Americans. Go. They're telling you they're going to build camps. They're telling you all of this. And folks, I'm telling you 100%, the infrastructure is there. It's already done. Everything, I'm going to say it one more time. Everything Hermann Goering did for Hitler to create the Gestapo, the Schutzstaffel, everything is done. We call it the Department of Homeland Security. Now we have this group, the Heritage Foundation, who's saying, let's put it to work. Let's go that next step. We don't like losing elections to Democrats. So we're going to end that. We don't like the fact that we can't just do everything that we want to do. So let's end that. Let's take everybody that's in these jobs. Remember, these were all created for good reasons, for positive reasons, safety, security, making law enforcement work together, all those good things. All of the people that are loyal to that idea, we're going to fire them. And we're going to put people in place. And they're telling you who are sufficiently loyal to Trump to do, and this is a quote, folks, to do what Trump wants done. I hear you, Matthew. I hear you. And you have Saturday Night Live making fun of us because we're a little worried. Fuck you, Saturday Night Live. Folks, it's not a joke. It's not hyperbole. We told you in 2016, this is bad. This is bad. And it was bad. The right-wingers are pretending that didn't happen. And then because they haven't read a history book and they don't know. This is the last historical thing we're going to talk about. Stalin did not come into office and murder 4 million, 6 million. Nobody knows the number. They know it's more than 4 million Russians. He didn't. First thing they focused on was getting bread in people's mouths and getting the buses running. While behind the scenes, they were wresting control. That came later. Every dictator that has done horrific things, from whether it's Hitler, Stalin, Pol Pot, any of them, none of them did it in their initial foray. None of them. It all came, for the lack of a better way to put it, in their second term. And Trump is telling you. Well, now he's running from it because you've actually read the document. You know what the 2025 project, you know what Project 2025 is. You can see it. I can lay it out for you. Why? They're taking the Department of Homeland Security, which seems to have a really ominous sounding name, Homeland Security. Now is very ominous. It kind of seemed kind of, warm and fuzzy before. We're going to be safe and secure. Now it seems a little ominous. They're telling you, we're taking control of that, and we are pushing through our agenda because we've given up on the law. We cannot win Congress. We cannot win enough control to just do this stuff. So they're doing exactly what's been done before. It's not hyperbole. The past is prologue. And I'm not the one telling you. They're telling you. If you'll just listen to what they're saying. And the corporate media is failing miserably. Miserably. Because they tell you, well, look, the American Accountability Foundation, look what they're doing. But then they never tell you the significance of it. Why? It's so damn important. What's the historical context of it? They don't tell you that. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I'm going to say it one more time. Everything Hermann Goering did for Hitler to allow Hitler to create concentration camps, to seize power over the legislature, to do all of it, we have already done with the Department of Homeland Security. The work is done. It just needs a nefarious person to run it. And this is why I'm telling you. You said, Paul, what are you going to do after the election? I told you, I'm going to wrap a rope around the Democratic Party and I'm going to pull as hard freaking left as I can, because this has to be destroyed. Yes, compartmentalization is a problem. It is. It's a problem. It led to the failure on 9/11. It did. But this is a bigger problem. This is handing the world, the most powerful military the world has ever known. The United States of America could wage war on the entire world, and we'd stand a chance. And we're given that conceivably to a man who is telling you he's going to do exactly what Hitler did. He's using the same terminology, the same exact techniques, the same exact blueprint. And it's just like the frog in the pot. It is. It's just like the frog in the pot. It's just happening a little bit at a time and a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. Because I promise you, there are Republicans out there. And here's where I promise you at the end of the show, I would lift you up. I would. There are Republicans out there that are looking around and saying, this don't smell right. And you've got Trumpers trying to sell, oh man, Republicans are setting records. We're showing up at the polls, baby. We got this. No, you don't. No, you don't. I promise you, because I'm sure y'all have heard the news. One second, let me clear a few tabs. I'm sure you've heard the news. The new polling that's come out from Ann Seltzer. I've said this many times. If you're a regular in the audience, you've heard me say this. There is the, I like to call it the checkout line tabloid grade of polling that you see that these, CNN and these groups like Siena and I told you these polls are horrible. They're just horrible. Then there's the kind of polling that campaigns pay for, and it's extremely labor intensive. It's expensive. It ain't cheap, baby. It ain't cheap, because it requires a lot of people doing seriously hard work, getting out there to get accurate information. And that's what Ann Seltzer does. Ann Seltzer, everybody keeps calling her Ann Seltzer, and I just did it. Her name is Ann Seltzer. Who is Ann Seltzer? This is Ann Seltzer. This is her polling, her work over the last several elections. And then read it for you. Go back to 2012. Her polling in Iowa said she's from Iowa. She specializes in Iowa. Like I said, this is the kind of polling that campaigns go to on this level. They work on the neighborhood level. They don't work on, this nationwide. Oh, we called some people that still have landlines. No, this is that kind of polling. I'm telling you. 2012 presidential election. She said Iowa was Democrat +5. The actual ended up being Democrat +6. The 2014 Senate elections, she said, was Republican +7. It ended up being Republican +8. The 2016 presidential election, she said Iowa was Republican +7, ended up going Republican +9. The 2018 governor's race, she said it was Democrat +2, ended up being Republican +3. That is her biggest miss ever. That's her biggest miss ever. The 2020 Senate race, she said was Republican +4, ended up being Republican +7. The 2020 presidential, she said was Iowa was Republican +7, ended up being Republican +8. 2022 Senate, she said she was Republican +12. She said it was go Republican +12. Remember Grassley, and ended up being Republican +12. As far as polling's concerned, these are frickin' bullseyes. This is as good as it gets. And she has come out with a new poll that has Kamala Harris up by 3.5 in Iowa. And the Republicans are losing their damn minds. They are losing their damn minds. They're attacking her and saying that, oh, well, she's just trying to suppress the vote and all this other. They loved her when she was calling everything for Republicans. Don't get me wrong. Fact is, she's got no dog in this fight. She really doesn't. She's neither Republican or Democrat. She lets the data speak for itself, and she does the legwork to get the data right. She does. And their attacks, they are really, all the bots have gone active. I keep telling you, there are troll farms out there. The bots have gone active. Nobody ever heard of Ann Selzer. Nobody knows who he is. Suddenly she is evil incarnate. They are attacking her left and right. They went and found a tweet. Remember back in 2016, everybody's like, Hillary Clinton's got this. It's a lock. She put a tweet out saying, I wonder what music Trump's going to play. Trump's going to be playing the night of the election. Possibly you can't always get what you want. So they're saying, oh, well, that proves she's a Democrat. No. Every pollster called that race for Hillary Clinton. That was showed the Achilles heel of polling. Every pollster said. So I guess every pollster is now suddenly for the Democrats. But yeah, they are losing their minds about her. Anyways, this is Ann Selzer talking about those results. This is a clip from the BBC talking about the results. And not to be put too fine a point on it, explaining why she explains here that this is a poll. Polls are not clairvoyance. There you go.
And the poll does show that women have partly driven some of this result in your poll. The gender gap is a big issue in this election, isn't it?
It is a big gap, and I'd point you additionally to the margin that Kamala Harris wins older women with. It's a 2-to-1 margin among women age 65 and over. And so there's obviously something going on here. Older people is who you want to appeal to because they're the most reliable voters. And Kamala Harris is doing very well with that group.
And what did this poll tell you about independent voters in Iowa?
Yeah, video frogged up. Now, look, folks, if you watch this in the replay, if you're watching this in the replay and not live, and that video is not there, that was a video brought directly from BBC in. And what she goes on to explain there for a few more seconds is that look, this is polling. This is polling, people. This is just the data we have. It doesn't promise anything. And that's what I want to leave you with. Yes, this is amazing, amazing news. Because she's, as you saw from her history, she's rarely misses the mark. And she's saying, look, Iowa is going blue. And folks, if Iowa goes blue, that's it. That's it. But it's meaningless if you do not vote. If you have not voted and you do not vote on November 5th, all this feel-good stuff is meaningless because only votes win elections. Only. And I am telling you, I am appealing to you, pretty please. This is it. This is our last chance. Our last chance. Because if we do not show up and vote, they will gut the Department of Homeland Security. They will turn it into the new Gestapo. They will. They've already told you they're going to. It will be loyal to Trump, not the law. And they will carry out anything and everything Trump wants. And Trump is a freaking psychopath. The world will burn. And that's not hyperbole. The good news is it looks like you're getting it done, folks. It does. Now, I want to, again, because this is the last show before the election. The Republicans told their people to vote early. Why? Because those votes get counted before the election. They don't wait till election day. They just don't release the results. Everybody's out there counting those votes that have been turned in already, but they are legally obligated not to release those results because they don't want to skew what happens on election day, which is where the biggest chunk of votes is going to come in. But you're going to get results very early. And the Republicans had a strategy. Steve Bannon let the cat out of the bag. They're going to try to declare victory early. When you get these rural counties just reporting, it's going to be rural counties reporting their early voting figures. And they've told everyone on the Republican side, they told them vote early so that they can get this number as high as possible. We've seen this before. We saw it before. They're going to try to do it again. This is how what you can do about it. Everyone has to vote. Every one of you. Every one of you that is registered and can legally go down and cast a ballot, you all have to do it. You have to overwhelm them. It cannot even look close. And by all accounts, what we're hearing so far is that you understand the assignment. You do. You get it. But I promise you, this is their strategy. Okay? They're going to announce, those Republicans in control in these Republican states are going to announce favorable numbers early and quickly. The Trump campaign is going to declare victory. Then they're going to drag out the rest of the results coming in. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to stick my neck out. I don't like to make predictions, but I'm going to stick my neck out. I'm going to tell you, we're not going to know who won this election until maybe the night of the 6th. Because they're going to give Trump a full 24 hours to claim victory, to claim he won. And the Republicans are going to say, Biden should step down now. And they're going to try to gin up another January 6th. They're going to try to whip their people up into violence again. The good news is you understand the assignment. It is really looking like all of the excitement, all of the momentum, and on top of that, you have Republicans that can smell what they're cooking. All those votes that are registered Republicans ain't all for Trump, folks. They're not. They're not. I was looking at Comal County and Kendall County and Blanco County here in Texas where, yeah, Republicans have had huge turnouts. I also looked in those districts and Nikki Haley got 20%, 25% in those same districts. There are a lot of Republicans out there that are like, no, we're not doing this. Share this with them, please. If you think I did a good job of stating the case, proving my point, using their words to explain to you what they're going to, share this with them, please. Because the election is Tuesday. You have to get out. You have to vote. You have to vote. The numbers have to be overwhelming. That's what I've got for you today. I'm going to make one last pitch to you. You folks have been amazing about supporting candidates. You really have. These candidates at the end of this election are going to have bills. They are. They're going to have bills. You can't just close offices. You can't just, it costs money to wind down campaigns. So pretty please, when you're going to hear after the election, hey, we could still use your help. If you got $5, throw it to them. They're going to need it. But look, I'm not the only one that sees this coming. This is, and again, I like to show you folks good sources, especially on X. X is a very challenging platform. Blue Georgia, it's at Blue ATL Georgia. It's a good source. It really is a good source. You can get good information there. They've got Jamie Raskin here sitting down with Bill Maher. And again, if you don't see this video in the replay, it is because they hit me with a trademark, or not a trademark, but a copyright infringement, and I had to delete it. So yeah, but this is really good. This is Jamie Raskin just laying it out.
The political scientists have told us the hallmark characteristics of a fascist political party. Number one, they don't accept the outcome of democratic elections that don't go their way.
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
Number two, they embrace political violence as an instrument for obtaining power. And three, they're not organized democratically. They're organized top down as a cult of a personality around a charismatic or allegedly charismatic figure, right? I mean, and that's a fascist party. They also don't put issues before the people for meaningful discussion and debate. This whole campaign's been wasted. What do? Scapegoating, racism, anti-Semitism, immigrant bashing, and gay bashing. They got mad at, our great president, Joe Biden, because he said there were semi-fascist currents running through the Republican Party. But I'm sorry, if the shoe semi-fits, you semi-wear it. And that's what they've done. The political scientists have told us.
Yeah. Yeah. And ladies, look, I'm begging you. I'm begging you. You're killing it. The numbers show you're killing it. Keep on keeping on. Keep on keeping on. I just want to remind you what Sam Alito said after the Dobbs decision. He so smugly, they said, look, how can you do this to women? He said, well, here, let me show you what he said. You can read it for yourself. Mark Elias is a great follow on X, folks. Follow him on X. Women are not without electoral or political power, Just Alito said of the Dobbs v. Jackson decision. Dobbs v. Jackson decision. Women are not without electoral or political power. Yeah, you think he meant that when he said it? Do you think he saw y'all coming? I don't think he did. I don't think he did. You ladies are killing it. You are. You're going to save us. You're going to save us. Folks, get out there and vote. That is my appeal to you. Pretty please. It's not hyperbole. It's not a joke. When we said it in 2016, we meant it. When we said it in 2020, we meant it. You saved us in 2020. You did. Save us again. Let's get it done. Thank you for all the support. And yes, I will be here after the election. There's going to be plenty to clean up. I'm the founder of the Ride or Die Democrats. And what it means to be a ride or die Democrat is you support your ideals. You support what you believe in. You support getting done what you want to get done. But when the primaries are over, you walk in and you pull the lever for that Democrat because you know the Democratic Party is the way forward. You understand that we can get it done as a party. We actually listen to each other. We actually have the debates. It's not a cult of personality like the right wing has become. It is not a freak show like the right wing has become. We actually do the work of governing. And after this election, I will be diving in. I will be pulling as hard left as I can for healthcare, women's rights, decentralization of power in our government, as we can see just how dangerously close we have come. We really need to revisit the Department of Homeland Security and its structure, its existence. That's what I'm going to be doing. Thank you for the support. The show will go on. And on that note, enjoy some Texas cities at night.